I don't enjoy flirting. Night had fully fallen, draping the castle in a velvet darkness. But the elite-filled banquet was nowhere near its end. Laughter, music, and wine lingered in the air like a shimmering haze. After successfully getting Adrian Wu's WeChat, Aurora Shen finally allowed herself a quiet breath. The weight pressing on her chest eased, and for the first time that evening, she had a moment to relax and take in the ancient beauty of the centuries-old castle. She stood on the balcony overlooking Florence, the city spread out below like an oil painting glittering with scattered stars. A cool night breeze brushed past the treetops, weaving together starlight and the city's warm glow into a soft, luminous halo. Even after nearly 4 years of living in Italy, Aurora still felt moved by nights like this, but she didn't indulge for long. She had other tasks to handle. For example, opening WeChat and browsing Adrian's moments. Not because she enjoyed no, she simply needed to learn something, anything, about the man whose number she now miraculously possessed. Because truthfully, she knew nothing about him. Like many successful men, Adrian's profile picture was a plain landscape useless for extracting any information. His moments weren't any better, only a few sparse posts. Still, no matter how little there was, Aurora zoomed into every photo, tapped every article link, and read everything with the focus of a seasoned detective. Persistence paid off. In one news article, she finally found his full name. Adrian Wu. Nice name, she thought. She switched apps immediately, opened Google, and typed in his name. Her finger hadn't even left the screen when results flooded in recent news, interview excerpts, even a biographical entry with photos. Wow, he's 32. Aurora clicked her tongue softly. 10 years older than me. She sat on a stone bench at the edge of the garden, the hem of her mermaid tail dress pooling around her feet. Folding her legs slightly, she leaned forward, resting an elbow on her knee as she scrolled through more search results. Before she could finish the page, hurried footsteps echoed behind her. Then before she could react, a tiny shadow stumbled forward and fell straight into her lap, knocking her phone out of her hand. It skidded across the stone path. Aurora winced from the impact. She was ready to scold whoever wasn't watching where they were going but froze when she looked down. It was a little boy, blonde curls, sapphire eyes, porcelain skin. Not more than 5 or 6 years old. His nose was flushed red, and he sat wide-eyed on her skirt, still shaken. "Are you okay?" She instinctively reached out, but the hem of her mermaid dress had been pulled sideways under the boy's weight. The already tight bodice strained dangerously. One wrong move and the neckline might slip. Aurora quickly covered her chest with one hand and tried to help the boy with the other. The posture wasn't elegant, but it was better than flashing the entire garden. The little boy blinked, staring at her with big, glittering blue eyes like marbles. "Lion, mind your eyes." A voice spoke from behind them. That voice, before Aurora could turn, the boy Leon was lifted effortlessly off her lap, as if picked up by the ears like a tiny rabbit. Aurora looked up. Of course, it was Adrian Wu. She could have recognized that voice even blindfolded. Under the glow of lanterns and moonlight, his sandy blonde hair looked as though brushed with gold leaf. Light and shadow danced across his sharp profile, outlining every striking feature. He wasn't wearing a suit jacket anymore. His light-colored shirt fluttered slightly in the breeze, the open collar framing the defined muscle lines beneath. Unfortunately, Aurora didn't get to admire him for long. He bent down to pick up her fallen phone, probably checking whether it was cracked. He glanced down at the lit screen and saw his own face displayed across it. "Aurora, I want to die." Adrian handed the phone back without a flicker of expression. His voice was low, calm, and unreadable. "Is it damaged? If it is, I can replace it." From beginning to end, his demeanor was the same, cool, detached, unruffled, as if nothing in the world could disturb the stillness in his gray-blue eyes. For some reason, his indifference actually made Aurora feel a little less embarrassed. The heat on her cheeks finally receded. She accepted the phone. "It's fine, thank you, Lion. Apologize." Adrian nudged the little boy forward with a tap of his finger. But instead of a simple apology, Lion suddenly lifted Aurora's hand, knelt on one knee, and pressed a gentle kiss to her knuckles. With solemn innocence, he said in Italian, "I'm very sorry for disturbing you, beautiful lady. But I think your eyes shine brighter than all the stars tonight." Aurora's heart melted on the spot. How could anyone be angry at a cherub like this? Italian men truly were born knowing how to charm. Even a 5-year-old could make a girl blush. Holding back the urge to ruffle his golden curls, Aurora smiled warmly. "It's okay, you're very sweet." "No," Lion frowned. "Please don't call me sweet. If you need me to, I can protect you too." Good Lord, what kind of angel was this? Aurora laughed softly, forgetting all her embarrassment, until someone spoke, hands casually tucked in his pockets, voice cold. "We need to go, Lion." While Lawrence spoke, he didn't look at Aurora Shen at all. His eyes lowered patiently as he waited for the boy to follow him. From Aurora's angle, his eyelashes were long and curled, trembling lightly in the breeze like a butterfly about to take flight. Eyelashes so soft and gentle, yet belonging to a man with such an arrogant, distant gaze. A pity, really. Aurora found herself staring completely dazed. Of course, it wasn't intentional. His face was simply too perfect. Once her eyes landed on it, leaving became nearly impossible. Noticing her gaze, Lion suddenly ran back to Lawrence and tugged at his hand, urging him, "Uncle Lawrence, let's go now." Uncle Lawrence. Aurora repeated the words in her head. So his name was Lawrence. And from the sound of it, he wasn't all that young. Lawrence let out a low chuckle. "Why the sudden rush?" Lion answered with an earnest, righteous expression. "As long as you're here, no lady will pay attention to me."
Oh.
A faint, amused smile lingered on Lawrence's lips as his eyes slid toward Aurora, carrying a subtle, teasing edge. Aurora met his gaze calmly, her expression poised as if saying, "I'm simply admiring art. It has nothing to do with you." Lawrence didn't speak again. He took Lion's hand and began walking toward the banquet hall. But after only a few steps, he paused, tilting his head slightly to glance back at Aurora. His voice remained mild, yet carried something deeper beneath the surface. "Miss Shen, people often hide more than what you see." With that, his gaze lingered for a brief beat before he led Lion away. Aurora stood alone, the mountain breeze ruffling her hair, leaving her slightly unsettled. So he knew Chinese, and spoke it so fluently. Was he warning her? Aurora lowered her gaze to her phone, still displaying Adrian Wu's photo and profile. Was Lawrence referring to him? But the unexpected moment didn't stir up much emotion. Aurora turned off her phone and tucked it neatly into her clutch. She rose, straightened her dress, and exhaled. After all, she didn't care what kind of man Adrian Wu was. As long as he could give her what she wanted, he already served his purpose. However, her eyes drifted toward the direction Lawrence left. How did he know her surname was Shen? She was certain she never told him. Was he paying that much attention? Aurora lowered her eyes and let out a soft, private laugh. Now that she had achieved the first step of her goal, she quickly lost interest in the party. She didn't know anyone here except Professor Adam, and she had no desire to mingle in an outdated gown and 7-centimeter stilettos. Meanwhile, the wealthy socialites, drowning in money and vanity, had no intention of wasting their time on her either. To them, she was nothing more than a poor art student. Talking to her wouldn't earn them a single valuable connection. But Aurora didn't feel out of place at all. In fact, she discovered something truly delightful. The wine at this high-end banquet was excellent, and the desserts were even better, especially the cannoli filled with rich, silky cream. She adored them, sweet but never cloying, wrapped in a thin almond shell that shattered delicately with every bite, the creamy filling blending with the almond aroma in a blissful burst. After finishing 2, she reached calmly for a third. For the image-obsessed socialites around her, these calorie bombs were the enemy, they wouldn't even smell them. But Aurora sat alone near the corner of the first floor, eating happily, completely unfazed. God, how can she just sit there eating like that? Isn't that her third one already? From the balcony on the second floor, A beautiful blonde woman clutched a glass of Chardonnay between her fingers, letting out a gasp of disbelief. Beside her stood a tall man watching Aurora in silence, expression unreadable, offering no comment. Lawrence the blonde pouted, nudging his arm with a manicured finger. Attempting to touch the hand, he rested casually on the railing. "Did you even hear what I just said? You seem very interested in that girl." Lawrence pulled his hand away without a word, leaving her fingers suspended in midair. The blonde stilled, offended. She snatched her hand back and huffed softly. "Honestly, Lawrence, you're impossible. Absolutely no sense of fun. You ruin the mood." Only then did Lawrence slowly turn to her, eyes grey-blue and cold like fog over steel. "When I'm discussing business, I don't flirt." "Oh," she challenged softly. "Then, when do you flirt?" "Never." He paused, brows creasing the slightest bit. "And one more thing. I'm declining the proposal you and your friends submitted."